Hi, I'm Volette1, part-time YouTuber, part-time Counter-Strike Nexon addict. It's a little tradition for me to upload a Counter-Strike Nexon video every year. I poured my soul into my 2024 edition, which was an extensive view of how Nexon butchered the game. Wherever you go online to find a longtime veteran talking about this game, it's so often nostalgic lament for just what was lost. The good times Nexon stripped us off. Maybe I made the video because I couldn't get my rage boner to go. But really, the pay-to-win system Nexon created is unjust, unfun, and fundamentally flawed. Why? The player count slowly dwindled over the years. Moreover, I also kinda missed the old days when the game was simpler and more enjoyable, catering to a bigger player base. Is it too much of an ask to keep the game playable and not to turn it into mobile game tier mush? I wanted the game fixed. My video's requests were basic. Tune down the pay-to-win system, keep the gameplay loop focused on simple interactions with high-risk, high-reward mechanics, and update the main fucking menu. By coincidence, or most likely by popular demand, the cries of its remaining audience reached Nexon when they decided to add the Zombie Hero Classic mode, which is what I'm going to be diving into today.
Unseal all the Epstein documents in the Southern District of New York.
Yeah, please say that.
3, 2, 1.
This game mode is fun. My video essay would reiterate that the early stages of Counter-Strike Nexon were probably the peak in terms of gameplay and engagement, reflected not only in my preferences for more calculated gameplay but also greater player counts. And my point was that, in a sense, they had something great and they threw it away. Now, Zombie Hero Classic addresses a majority of the problems I've talked about, but while it's great and I will be talking about all of the good of this good a little later, I'm not sure it's enough. Meanwhile, the rest of the game is crumbling. Just because they handed us one vintage wine bottle doesn't mean the rest of the cellar isn't full of piss. And the reality here is that for great things like this, when they give you an inch, you have to push for the mile. We need the rest of the game fixed. Before that, to get it out of the way, I'm not some kind of ungrateful toddler who was crying for change and after receiving it to still continue to whine. Okay? There's a good reason why Nexon should not be let off the hook for Counter-Strike. Also, for anyone saying, quote, if you don't like the game, just stop playing, I say, many are too invested to quit. Nexon's pay-to-win system is predatory with new overpowered weapons releases every 6 months or so that require you to spend hundreds of dollars. It would be a shame to quit while you're so invested, even if it's knees deep into shit. Combined with a ton of daily quests and a million reward systems, you can see why for some it's not easy to quit, even if they are willing to do so. With that out of the way, why did Counter-Strike Nexon even create a classic mode in the first place? First, context. Back in the 2000s, Nexon partnered with Valve to expand the Counter-Strike IP into Asia. Nexon's big idea was, let's make CS 1.6, the classic Counter-Strike, but pay to win. It worked for a while, especially since Asian cultures seem more tolerant towards pay-to-win systems, until one day, for no particular reasons, one of the devs said, why don't we try to make a zombies mode beside the regular bomb defusal and hostage rescue that Counter-Strike players are so used to? It strayed from vanilla Counter-Strike, but it was unexpectedly a lot of fun. Which is why over the years the zombie mode has been the bread and butter for Counter-Strike Nexon. So, it's important. I'll explain for everybody how it works. For 15 seconds till the round starts, you can pick your loadout, and take some time to set up. Go with the team for power and numbers, hide alone, or run around like a headless chicken. Whatever you do, as soon as the countdown hits 0, a few players immediately turn into zombies, and their goal becomes to infect every remaining human player in a game of tag. If the player is hit only once by a zombie swing, they become infected and join them. Otherwise, if you're a human by the end of the countdown, your goal is to live to the end of the round by waiting out the clock or simply killing every single one of the zombies with a headshot. Pretty simple concept, but it has a surprising amount of depth from the most unexpected elements. Remind you, the gameplay is based on Counter-Strike, so you can imagine that while some things work in your favor like the map's narrow ventilation shafts or the mechanical ability to bunny hop by consecutively chaining jumps and strafing to gain more speed than regular walking, others are constant reminders that you're playing an old and unpolished game. The shitty hitboxes, inaccuracy while moving, a load of various weapons and abilities you'll be confused about, and the question, how the hell am I even supposed to take on a horde of brain-eating zombies jumping at me with thousands of health points? Sometimes you don't. If you don't manage to survive the zombies, you just join them. So you can keep playing, but on the other team. But here's the problem. Over time, Nexon added hundreds of ways to break the game. Those little details that force you to make decisions, like deciding to stand still for an accurate shot, or whether you should aim for center mass to knock the undead back, or try to go for a headshot to kill them once and for all, staying with the team, the necessity of good movement, just to name a few, all of it is gone. None of the gameplay complexity is here anymore. Some would argue that nothing of value has been lost, the game was always unfair, it's been pay to win since inception. Someone besides you could be a zombie at round start without you even realizing, only for you to get turned without notice. Or some rounds you try to play as a zombie but get repeatedly shot at from all angles where you feel like you can't move. Which I say is true, but that misses the point. Not every game has to be decided by skill, and there are a lot of random elements that naturally come out from the chaos that ensues a zombie round. I'd even go as far as to say that in the wake of this unjustness, the pay-to-win weapons could be passed as acceptable, as long as the game remains fun. Well, hey, the update is here. Right, Zombie Hero Classic. This is the fix. The great thing about this replica of the 2012 to 2014 era is that the old weapons are so much fun to use when they're not useless. The janky, full of recoil, low ammo capacity weapons are back, and although they were never gone per se, Nexon adjusted the zombies' HP levels back down to reasonable numbers in this mod to compensate and reverted some old changes. Notably, what I'm talking about is the quick switch bug. This allowed you to start one weapon's animations then switch to another without interruption. More on that later. Another good thing they did is that they separated said weapons into two categories. Barring a few exceptions I've noticed of some very niche, very rare old weapons, there's two separate categories now for everything in your inventory. The regular stuff still belongs to the regular game, but any weapons, equipment, or old passive boosts like the headshot or sprint with a ZHC prefix tag are restricted to Zombie Hero Classic. The way you unlock them is by playing. The more you play, the more classic decoders you get. This is pretty cool as I already have all of this stuff in the default game, so that gives incentive for players like me to play and earn the stuff again. Now, for the most important part, the gameplay. The rules are as they were back then. Everyone starts human, and a few people turn zombies by the end of the countdown. Both humans and zombies are weak in some areas and strong in others. There's now a better reason to camp as humans. The downsides of inaccurate weapons and the fragility of your body are mitigated by choke points like the ventilations or high grounds like the CS Italy balcony where you can take easy shots and be fine. On the other hand, the light zombie is free again in open spaces. If you want to employ a run and gun playstyle as a human, it's still an option, but it's not as effective per se because the light zombie moves fast, jumps high, and is hard to hit, especially with the classic weapons that don't have aimbot. When you play as the light, it feels like you have wings again when you chain B-hops or sneak up on the enemy. And this design element was completely lost over the years as new weapon releases were marginally better than the others to the point that you'd get stunlocked indefinitely, unable to move due to constant attacks, rendering it one of the worst zombies to use. When you play now, if you jump and get shot, you still get sent flying away, but unless you're pinned in a corner, you can outplay your enemies sometimes if you strafe really well by flicking your mouse to make a U-turn back onto them. Speaking of which, no human is substantially more powerful than any other, let alone a zombie, which is such a breath of fresh air. Aside from the hero, understandably, who is sometimes randomly picked to get a powerful weapon, your survival relies on your ability to aim, your movement, and some luck. So let's talk about weapons. Your best bet is the Black Dragon Cannon, paired with the dual infinities in a complementary Skull 9 melee. The cannon shoots like a blast, and it feels like a blast. Enough said. Your secondary, the dual infinities, have been great ever since they released. You have two pistols, each loaded with 15 bullets, and two modes of fire. The left click is a single fire shot, but the right click, as your character pulls the pistols into an X formation, is auto fire. When Nexon made this gun, they must have messed something up, making the auto fire's first shot perfectly accurate, but not the single fire one, rendering the left click useless. I've used it for years, and all the other secondaries just don't have that same kick for me. Not enough bullets, not enough accuracy, and definitely not enough swag from the animations. And then there's the Skull 9. It's certainly the best melee weapon. If the left click connects after a second of windup, you'll strike for at least a solid 1000 of damage. The drawback here is the time it takes to swing the axe, leaving you vulnerable to getting infected. But there's a way to circumvent this issue by quick switching. This has technically been patched in the vanilla game, but was restored here for old time's sake. If you start the animation and pull out another weapon, you'll still get a hit if it lands on a zombie, of course. The indicator here is if your weapon twitches or makes a little reload animation, that means you've got it. Paired together, the dragon cannon automatically reloads when not in hand, so by pairing the dragon cannon's shot with a Skull 9 windup, you can hit for a tremendous amount of damage capable of one-shotting some unlucky zombies in your cone of fire. It's great, and if you need proof of that, just look up any Chinese or Korean montage. It's fucking crazy how head and shoulders better than me they are at this. I mean, I kinda could do that, but it's a setup that requires being very close to a zombie in order to deal damage. Very dangerous. It's one hit, you're cooked. This kind of strategic high-risk damage is a welcome return, in stark contrast to the brain-dead aimbot weapons in the vanilla game that you might as well turn your monitor off to. High risk, high reward applies to all the other melee weapons, as they all need you to get very close to your target. The hammer has a similar functionality to the Skull 9 with a slow windup into a smash, but it also has a defensive-ish B mode. Right click and you'll lift your hammer in a ready stance. This significantly reduces your movement speed, but when you attack now, your swings are immediate and knock the zombies back. Very high risk, as you move like a snail, and if you fail to time the swing correctly, you'll most likely get infected. But then again comes the movement into play. Ground strafe by repeatedly tapping crouch on your keyboard, and you can circumvent the sudden loss of speed. It's really weird, but basically your character starts to fall on the ground when you tap crouch. Instead of lowering your body down, the game physically lifts your legs up, instead leaving you in the free fall mode for a split second, which allows you to keep your momentum if you keep tapping it successfully. Anyway, for more adept movement players, there's the Nada knife. High damage, instant swing. This is the no fuss knife for those who just want to try their luck with life or death. See, this is what I've mentioned at the beginning of my video. Talking about this is important because high risk, high reward playstyles are more fun and engaging. They add stakes to every play. Even being a little bitch with a sniper rifle who's camping in the back, you're still susceptible to being snuck up on by a light zombie flying through the sky while you're busy aligning your shots with your scope. Vent camping is a little exception to the rule. Vents are not really high risk, but they are high reward, which is bad, but I can pardon this, because I think they're kind of novel. Not all maps have them, but Assault does, and Nexon told us that's the second most played zombie map of all time, so it's worth mentioning. At the entrance of the warehouse, there's a T-shaped vent system with a ladder at the intersections leading up to the upper side with a drop down at the end. Basically, try to pack as many humans as you can in a metal tube, and then watch everyone die in 480p. With power in numbers, when multiple people start shooting at you where connecting bullets to your skull is easier than ever, if you're a zombie, you'll end up dead in seconds. Any weapon with significant knockback is great here, obviously. Any machine gun, the Volcano shotgun with a 40 clip size, the Dragon cannon, and if there's nobody in front of you, the automatic crossbow works as well. Vent camping is a little degenerate because it's too easy. But what I think is its redeeming quality is that it doesn't take much for a vent camping operation to fail catastrophically. If it's such a good position, everyone will be rushing to get in there and secure a spot in the back of the upper floor. However, these tight vent systems were not designed to accommodate 32-player servers, and that's when the chaos ensues. Somebody starts blocking the way, intentionally or not, someone else gets turned at round start, and how convenient that the human is right in front of me. All I need to do is swing my arm and they're infected, and the next one in line and the following, initiating a chain reaction. Those moments are like a hissing dynamite ready to blow. But if the human team makes it out of the initial phase of infected screams, a dozen people shooting and blood flying everywhere, then you're locked in. If you're a zombie by now, you still have a few options. Brute forcing into the lower part of the vents is very doable. 2 entrances means a 2-sprung attack with another fellow zombie on the other side splits the attention of the humans, which can set up an easy infection if you go in with a heavy zombie, which takes reduced knockback and damage. Alternatively, you can surprise the enemies by b-hopping into the vent from above. It takes some practice to get used to bee-hopping in vents though, but it's a valuable skill to learn. For the upper floor, you'll need to use more creative methods. Brute force could work, but it's significantly harder because of the single way in, unless you jump in through the drop down. Every zombie is given a zombie grenade for knockback, either of a human or a zombie alike. You can toss it inside the vent and try your luck at fishing for a human getting knocked back to you, or throw it on the floor and time a jump to sink its knockback to get propulsed into the vents. Use this to your advantage if you're playing as a light zombie, but of course, it only works once as long as you have a nade, so if you fail to jump, get knocked out, there's not much else to do here. If you know that the upper floor is not filled with humans from beginning to end, you can try to glitch into the vent from below. It's a bit weird, but if you stand on top of an object or another zombie tall enough where a jump is impossible, your character will instead squeeze through and pop out on the other side. There's a very convenient, hard to reach platform right below the vents on Assault that's just high enough for two zombies to get on top of one another and start spamming spacebar on the keyboard to get in. Very effective when it works, as you literally pop out in front of their faces. Alright, there's many more things I want to mention that are not as important, so here's a rapid fire of really cool things about classic mode. The old kill effects for nostalgia. Hero weapons are incredibly satisfying. If you play a female character, you'll get the dual deagles and a quad shotgun. Hits like a truck if you unload all 4 shells out at once. If you play a male character, you'll get the custom SVD instead. Also really fun to use, especially with its built-in grenade launcher. Supply boxes are fun to collect. They can be as simple as an ammo replenishment to granting a custom weapon like the dual MP7 or the custom AK, which are very good. They also brought back flashbangs and grenade set supply drops. You control your teammates by blinding them. Pretty dope when you flash half of the camping server. The human aspect matters a lot more, but everybody still acts in their personal interests. I mentioned this a little with the vent blocking shenanigans, but to list a few other examples. Jumping in to try for a sextuple kill only to get infected, or abandoning a defensive position when everybody's trying their best to hold the line. Overall, you shouldn't trust your teammates, but you have no option but to do so as you're weak on your own. Always keep an eye out. The classic mode is not an exact replica of the old times, but it gets most of it right. I'm personally nostalgic for the old animations, and I'm happy they brought them back as an option. The light zombies flapping about stitched and sewn together hands add to the design for me in a weirdly satisfying way. ZHC may not be authentic in that the UI is not the same, there's new characters, some weapons are mixed up, and getting them is a lot easier than before. All in all, it's good. But there is so much we didn't get, and that's a fix to the normal game. I've been hiding from you the fact that my game doesn't fucking work half the time. Whenever I try to join a lobby, I'm hit with an error saying that I have connection to host issues, and after asking for support, I got nothing. And no, it's not just me or my Wi-Fi. I've read some Korean replies on Nexon's update videos, and they're complaining about the exact same thing. It will do this regardless of connection, even if I'm the host. I feel like it'd be a better use of my time to bash my head against the wall than repeatedly press join game. Well, at least I got Bolatro or my video to work on my second monitor to keep me busy while Nexon won't allow a journalist in. Really makes me think they don't want me to give them the bad press. The price we pay and the price players have been paying for the last 20 years is the complete disconnect between Nexon and its player base. Countless complaints about bugs, quality of life features, and of course, game balance that has fallen on deaf ears. New weapons are released as if they're not play-tested, broken, and overpowered. The game looks like a fucking piece of shit, and while they're busy trying to revamp the graphics, they completely forgot to update the main menu. Oh no, wait, they did actually. Look, now you can set it to 1080p. Other than the obvious, the prices on all the decoder loot boxes that give you access to the pay-to-win weapons are ridiculous. They lowered the cost on the 9th of July by an average of 21%, and admittedly they do cut some slack for the Counter-Strike Nexon server, specifically with some exclusive shop items that are more of a bargain than the rest of the shop. I'm referring to the decoder supply that give you 1 decoder per day played. I hearsay that they're not available on other servers. This game has a million problems. You might have your own gripes with it, or even the community, but it's not the community that made this shit show of circumstances. The neglect of this game's issues results in a slow, sad death. And now, this game's popularity is at best mentioned in an obscure Counter-Strike titles video. And I'm not going to pretend like I see a way for this game that looks like it's from 1990 to skyrocket to 1 million concurrent players. However, there is a sort of minimal level of maintenance you need, even if it's an old game, as long as you have so many fans. Many love Counter-Strike, and zombies, and custom weapons, and game modes, and anime titties. But Nexon is not maintaining this game, it's actively kicking it to death. In the finance world is the growth versus value investment notion. I think there's a parallel to be drawn here where Nexon should be focusing on providing more value. Growth is about high risk, high return investments than the average, where by their ambiguous nature of their future success or failure, they jump in price. Think of a stock like Tesla, for example, whereas value in any type of investment is about emphasizing its fundamentals, something safe and guaranteed to be a good earner, nothing ridiculous, where you can relatively safely predict its trajectory in the future, right? Think government bonds or a stock like General Motors. It's unlikely to have bad earnings, let alone to fail. I'm sure that 99% of Nexon players will agree with me here. We just want some stability. We want value from this game because it's Counter-Strike, for fuck's sake. Fundamentally, addictively good. It's been good for the last 20 years, and remind you, Counter-Strike 2 is the most played game on Steam. And yes, there is demand for custom weapons, custom modes, custom maps, etc. Since it's still a live service, Nexon should make something worth playing if they're actually trying to stay afloat. And the excuse that money is the reason why Nexon is releasing more overpowered crap every time is actually the reason the servers are still up, and that we should be grateful is bullshit. They can shove more resources into making a fun game and still have their pay to win, while you'll grow a beautiful garden instead of planting a bigger plant every so often for the whales to go, whoa, I want that. The key is balance. No guys, maybe becoming invincible isn't a good design choice. The current state of the regular zombies game mode is an unrecognizable mess that leaves a sour taste of Nexon and Counter-Strike. There are things to love, no doubt. I love the auction house, messing around with the weapons, and now there's Zombie Classic. And I love the community. Thank you guys. Aww. But do you see just how comparatively small the good is in the grand scheme of things? Compare what we got to what we still need to align back to the norm. You got a lot to fix here, Nexon, but you guys are based in Korea, so I don't know if they can hear me from 300 ping away. Nostalgia isn't a good enough motivator for most veterans to come back. Zombie Classic didn't bump the player counts, but it did bring what I was asking for, a step in the right direction. And although I may still be a part-time Counter-Strike Nexon addict and part-time YouTuber, now I see crystal clear what Nexon can do. Thanks for watching. Leave a like and subscribe. But if you want to hear more about Nexon, I got plenty of videos about them just for you, so go check them out, or else you're gonna miss out on all the lore about the crazy company doing crazy things.